Hello, Miles to Go, Chapter 40. We reached Montana today. Along the way, we met the most interesting of characters, Pete the Miner. The heavens indeed hold many stars from which to set a course. Alan Christopherson's Diary. The next morning, we had breakfast at the hotel's restaurant, pancakes and bacon with scrambled eggs. We left the hotel and then stopped next door at a convenience store for bottled water, trail mix, and beef jerky. We didn't worry about dinner. There were towns close enough that we'd be eating at a restaurant that night. We crossed the interstate bridge and continued our walk. After a few miles, Kaylami said, "This might seem like a dumb question, but do you know how to get to Key West?" I hid my smile. "Basically, I've got maps." "Shouldn't we be walking more south?" After Butte, Montana, I'm planning to walk southeast through Yellowstone. "We're walking through Yellowstone?" I was curious that she'd included herself on my journey. I was planning on it. "I've heard that there are a lot of buffalo there. I've always wanted to see a buffalo in real life." "That would be cool," I said. Maybe an hour later, she asked, "Do you believe in UFOs and aliens, that kind of stuff?" "No, but I know where there's a crop circle," I said. "Wilbur, Washington. I walked past it." "I think I figured out where aliens come from." "Where?" I asked, genuinely wanting to hear her theory. "From Earth." "Explain," I said. "My theory is that aliens aren't in flying saucers, they're in time machines." "What do you mean?" "Think about it. If time travel is possible, a big if," I said. "Yeah, but people used to say that about flying. Now, everyone is doing it. So let's say that there are things we don't understand yet about time, which is logical or at least possible, right?" "I'll give you that." "So, if it is possible to move through time, that means that there are people already here observing us." "Why would they want to do that?" "Same reason we study history. Besides, wouldn't you want to see the past if you could? Watch Lincoln give the Gettysburg Address or listen to the Sermon on the Mount?" "But then we'd see them around us. The physicist Stephen Hawking said the absence of tourists from the future is an argument against the existence of time travel." "Haven't you ever read a book about time travel?" Kaylami said. "People from the future can't show themselves or be involved in our circumstances, or they could mess things up and change history." "History is messed up." "Yeah, but if they did, they might disappear. Like in all the science fiction movies." "So you think aliens are us?" Makes sense, doesn't it? The way people describe aliens with two eyes, our body shape, smaller bodies. As technology takes over, it makes sense that our brains would evolve bigger and our bodies grow smaller. "You're a very interesting young woman," I said. "Thanks," she said. Near the Kellogg City limit, Kaylami pointed to a car dealership north of the freeway. "That's Dave Smith Motors. It's one of the biggest car dealerships in the world." I thought it odd to find such a large dealership so far from a metropolitan area. "I used to go to school there, right by the used car lot. Dave Smith tore down my elementary school to build his dealership. We were the Sunshine Unicorns." "The Sunshine Unicorns?" I know, pretty lame, huh? Probably a good thing he tore it down. 4.5 miles down the road, we saw signs for something called the Sunshine Miners Memorial, which struck me as a peculiarly cheerful name for a disaster site. We didn't stop. In the afternoon, we passed through Silverton and the foothills of the Bitterroot Mountains, where we exited the highway at the town of Wallace, which called itself the silver capital of the world. We ate lunch at the Brooks Hotel Restaurant and Lounge. The restaurant claimed to have a famous salad bar, which was, in fact, the most ordinary salad I'd ever encountered. I guess they meant famous as in lettuce is famous. Actually, their claim of fame was unusual. While practically everything in Washington was advertised as world famous, I noticed that since I'd been in Idaho, I hadn't seen a single world famous shake or burger. Instead, everything in Idaho was historic. Trees, roads, churches, rocks, mines, just about everything you can attach a sign to. After lunch, we went to the Harvest grocery store to stock up on water, fruit, and Gatorade. We were climbing the highway on-ramp when we saw a man standing at the side of the road with his thumb out. He was an older man with a bushy gray beard that fell to the middle of his neck. He wore a train conductor hat, bright yellow lens sunglasses, and overalls that were striped like the old seersucker suits. He waved to us. "Hi, y'all." "Good afternoon," I said. "Hey," Kaylami said, looking a little anxious. "How's the fishing?" I asked. "Fishing?" "The hitchhiking," I said. "Oh," he said with a squint. "Ain't a whole lot of cars coming out of Wallace this time of day. Mind if I walk with you a pace?" "Not at all." He ran to the edge of the road and lifted a small canvas pack from the ground, then ran back to catch up with us, much more nimbly than I expected from a man of his years. "Name's Pete," he said. "I'm Alan. This is Kaylami." He tilted his hat. "Ma'am." "Hey," she said. "Where y'all be headed?" "East," I said. "Way east." Though he walked with us, his thumb was still extended at his side. I'm not headed too far. I go to Mullen every week to see my friends. You're from Wallace? Most days I am. 70 years of 'em. Kaylami walked with her head down, not involving herself in the conversation. What do you do in Wallace, I asked, for a living? Prospecting mostly. Some logging, but mostly prospecting. For gold? Always gold. Well, that ain't entirely true. I've done some silver, but mostly gold. Have you had much luck? I always have luck, he said with a slight chuckle. Just sometimes it's the good kind, sometimes it's the bad kind. More the latter. Do you have a family? I did the whole 9 yards. My kids live nearby. They keep in touch sometimes. Your wife? The look on his face was answer enough. Done with her. Or she done with me. Don't remember which. So in all those years of prospecting, did you ever find the mother lode? He swatted at the air in front of him. Nah. Thought I'd found her a few times, but her milk always dried up. How many years you been looking? About since I was old enough to hold a pan. Still looking. How do you do that, I asked. Carry on for 70 years without success. Success? He said. I'm this side of the dirt, relatively healthy, good friends, kids not in prison. Don't know what your definition of success is, but that's mine. Of course, I said, feeling the reprimand. I meant all those years without finding what you were looking for. Ah, he said, the question is, what would have happened if I found her? He pointed a bony finger at me. Worst thing you can give a man is what he wants. The looking's the thing. When a man gets what he's been looking for, the road ends, don't it? He smiled. But you're young. You'll figure it out. As I thought this over, an old Dodge truck pulled up on the shoulder ahead of us and stopped. That would be my ride. You want a lift? No, we're just walking. Good day for it. You be safe now. Sometimes the logging trucks pass a little too close to the shoulders. He opened the passenger side door and climbed in, and the truck sped off. Most of the day was easy walking, with wide shoulders and plenty of shade. Kaylami and I talked a lot, covering topics as broad as religion to why I never had a pet dog. And then there were Kaylami's jokes. Doctor is talking to his patient one day, and he says, I have some bad news and some terrible news. The patient asks, what's the bad news? And the doctor says, you only have 24 hours to live. The patient says, oh no, what news could possibly be worse than that? And the doctor says, I've been trying to contact you since yesterday. 20 miles or so into our day, we entered Coeur d'Alene National Forest, and the road started climbing again. The roadsides were all inclined and uncampable, and it was getting dark when we reached the state line of Montana and Lookout Pass Ski Resort. We walked up to the front doors of the resort, but even though there was still some snow on the ground, the lodge was closed for the season. The place looked abandoned, so we pitched our tent behind the main building. I was connecting the last pole on our tent when Kaylami whispered, Alan. She was discreetly pointing at a man who was standing near the lodge looking at us. What do you think you're doing? He asked. I stood up. Evening, I said. Can't camp here, he said gruffly. Private property. I walked toward him. I'm sorry, but there's no place else around here and it's getting dark. But I promise we'll be gone before anyone else gets here in the morning. He looked over at Kaylami, then back at me. You're not in trouble with the law, are you? Kaylami walked to my side. No, she said. You know, we probably wouldn't tell you if we were, but no, we're not. Sorry about trespassing. We would have rented a room, but there was no one here. We close on the 15th, the man said. Please let us camp here, Kaylami said. I'm really tired. We'll leave early. The man exhaled audibly, then shook his head. Grab your packs and come with me. We left our tent and followed him over to the back of the lodge. He took out a fist of keys and unlocked a door. You can stay in here. There's no sheets on the beds, but I'm guessing you got sleeping bags. The bed will be softer than the ground. You can turn the heat up, but turn it back down when you leave. Can I pay you something, I asked. He shook his head. Nope. Just don't break anything and be gone by 10. Will do. Thank you, Kaylami said. The man turned and walked away. An unexpected kindness. I never even got his name.